Well, hello everyone, and happy Friday, Focus Friday. Today is June 20th. We are the longest daylight day of the year right now. So, welcome to summer tomorrow. If you're reviewing this presentation and it's wintertime, I apologize, but it's a nice long sunny day today. So, my name is Jeff Lutz. I'm Safety and Program Manager, Safety Claims Program Manager for Washington Farm Bureau. And today we're going to talk on our Focus Friday um, webinar real quick about DOSH inspections. And if you've done these before, you know that we go through them fairly quickly. So if you remember nothing else from today, call us, contact us, email us. The last slide, we've got information that has our contact information. And so DOSH, I'm not going to go too much into that, but if you don't know what DOSH is, please reach out. DOSH is the state OSHA. People say, "Oh, I've got an OSHA inspector here." Probably not likely. It's DOSH, a Division of Occupational Safety and Health, and they are a Washington state entity that is part of Labor and Industries that regulates workplace safety and health in all workplaces in the state of Washington. So let's talk about DOSH inspections. You can see the link on the bottom there if you want more information. That link is not live, but you take a quick screenshot of that, and that you can go to that safety and health topics, and you can find out about DOSH. What is it? And it'll give you more information than you ever care to know there. So let's talk about a path forward and what do we do, what to expect, and what do we do to make sure that we know about DOSH and what is it? Well, preparation's key. And certainly before DOSH arrives, you want to kind of have a plan in place. And what is that plan? We're going to talk about these separate steps today, having a safety program, and maybe you want some help to get that in place. We're going to talk about right of entry. We're going to discuss real briefly what's required of the department and what your rights are. And then we're going to go into what they do as an opening conference. They're going to give you reasons they're there and that information. And then they'll give you a documented request. And they usually give you a little time to get that together. They may want to review some of your documents on site. If you've got those, you might be prepared for that. Then they'll want to do a site inspection. They'll want to do some interviews and assessments of your workplace. And then finally, they'll do a closing conference that may or may not occur the same day that they're there. It may take some time before they do a closing conference, depending on how complicated the inspection ends up being. So, preparation. How are we going to prep? What are we going to do? Well, as you know, a plan to a failure to plan is a plan to fail. So we know that we got to think about it ahead of time, and we encourage you to reach out and get assistance from us at Washington Farm Bureau. Recently, we have been working on Dominique Damien. And she's not the only one, but I'm going to put a lot of that at her feet. She's got a resource library that she's put together that many of us have contributed to. And it's some really good information in there about programs, policies, procedures. You can get access to that. That'll be live soon, and you'll be able to go in and get virtually any program you would ever want. I got a call the other day from a member that said, "Hey, I've got L&I here. I've got an old safety program and it needs to be updated. Do you have resources?" So this is a spot you could go to get that. But they were semi-prepared. Just make sure that you're thinking about it beforehand. You're prepared for any eventuality that DOSH may show up. You can also circumvent, have them show up. You can get a 1-year reprieve from programmed compliance inspections by working with DOSH consultation. And we do this all the time. We talk to members. Members say, "Well, boy, I don't want to call the fox into the hen house. So maybe I'll have you guys in." Well, it's best if you have us in and do a quick tune-up, get you some certain things in place, and then get DOSH consultation in and have the consultation division come in, because they give you a certified exemption by the state of Washington from programmed compliance inspections from L&I. So if you're on a target list somewhere, you know that if that target list has your name on it, that you're probably going to get a visit soon, maybe within the next year or so. But this is part of the preparation process of having DOSH consultation come. Instead of that programmed inspection occurring, you can circumvent that. So we encourage you to reach out to DOSH consultation, work through us. We can help you get that in place. So let's talk real quick about right of entry. So thinking how many years ago it was, at least 20, because I'm old. Um, they were there was a whole process that happened with Washington Farm Bureau included in it of right of entry for any inspector in the state of Washington, and they have protocols they have to follow. And you are allowed to request a search warrant, and they are required by law to obtain one. They can obtain one. They have warrant authority, but it use that with caution. There was a incident that happened a number of years ago where the entity, their policy was anytime there was an inspection, that inspection included a warrant. So when DOSH showed up, they said, we're here to do an inspection. They said, okay, well, you're going to have to go get a warrant. And DOSH took them a little bit of time, but they went and got a warrant and they came back. The compliance officer should not show up with an attitude after you've requested for a warrant. It's your right, and they don't care. And if they do, that needs to be reported. But certainly it's within your rights to ask for a warrant. We advise that you work with them. People will say, well, you have to make an appointment. Well, no, under right of entry, they do not have to make an appointment. In fact, under DOSH rules, they cannot make an appointment ahead of time. They need to come and surprise you and say, hey, we're here to do an inspection. We're from the government. We're here to help you. So be prepared. Have someone in authority provide permission. If someone in the field says, yeah, go ahead, come on in, well, that's permission. So be careful who you allow that permission to go to. But you should have that. That's part of that planning process. Have a specific person in mind that's assigned to that inspector when they show up. There may be one or more inspectors. There may be a inspector for safety that covers things that could cause acute or immediate injuries. And then there could be a hygienist that, no, they don't do teeth. They would look at health issues that would be something that would cause a chronic injury over time, noise, chemicals, poor air quality, those types of things. So you could get a couple different types of inspectors. You could get them both at the same time. And in fact, when you do a consultation visit, we encourage people to have both a hygienist and a safety inspector there from DOSH consultation to cover all eventualities in case there were a compliance audit ensued. So the officer would introduce themselves. They'd ask for permission to enter. They would explain why they're there. They might talk about different inspection types. You can see the programmed inspections are the ones that someone's on a target list somewhere. Agriculture is considered a high hazard industry, and chances are that we're probably targeted somewhere to be on an inspection list. If we're prepared for that, well, then we don't need to worry about when an inspection ensues. Certainly, if we have consultation, we have members that like once every 18 months, they just say, hey, let's do another inspection, and they get another consultation. That 1 year reprieve from compliance inspections of the program type help you from having a surprise inspection. If there's a referral, someone's driving down the road and they see one of your crew up working on a roof and they don't have fall protection, they're doing leading edge work right out on the edge. They that might be a reason for someone to say, hey, those people are working up there without fall protection. They should probably, I'm going to turn them in. And general public can turn people in. It could be another inspector from another agency turn people in. But that's called a referral, and that's how it could happen. There could be a complaint where a worker may decide, hey, I'm tired of telling the boss that this is a hazard that needs to be fixed. The bathroom's cold, that's a hazard, so we're gonna complain about that. By the way, the bathroom being cold is not a hazard um, under most conditions. There could be specifics to that, but people will complain for the funniest reasons. So make sure you have good rapport with your employees. It'll help avoid those complaints. But if a complaint ensues, L&I is required by law to follow up. And then finally, an injury. They may come and be do an inspection on an injury that may have been a severe injury. It could have been a hospitalization. It could have been an amputation. Remember that there are certain reporting protocols. There are miscellaneous reasons for inspections, like reporting requirements. If you have an injury that causes a hospitalization, if it's a chemical injury, if it's um, an amputation where someone lost a part of a finger. Those would all need to be reported. An eye injury that causes blindness, or they lose an eyeball, those would all be reasons for a compliance visit. So those are the things that happen. But Ellen and I would say this is why they're here. This is what they want to see. Now remember that there can be specifics on where they want to go. So when it comes time, make sure that you're walking around with them. They'll tell you what they came for most times. If it's a complaint, they'll give you that copy of that complaint. So what are they going to ask for in documents? And we've attached, I believe Dominique has it, and she can upload it during the webinar. You have to have the webinar live and able to upload. But there's a couple documents there. One of them is the document request. And I put that in there because I'd like you to see what L&I inspectors may ask for. It's not a complete list, but it's an idea of some of the things that they would ask for. They want your accident prevention program, your APP. They may want some training documentation. They may want some documentation of safety meetings. Let's go back to the training real quick. You know, if it's a chemical injury, they're going to want to know how much respirator training was done, or chemical information training was done, or worker protection standard training was done for those injuries that occurred from a chemical exposure. They want to get to the bottom of how it happened and help you prevent it again. That's the idea behind it. And then they may ask for things like they will ask for the OSHA log, OSHA injury and illness recording log. That's a requirement. They have to have that to be able to do the inspection. And those are the et cetera, different types of things that they could ask for. Maybe it's a confined space issue. Maybe it's a lockout tagout issue. Maybe it's a tractor accident and they need the documentation of training that you've done with that. Maybe it's a forklift injury where you've needed some certification for operation of a forklift. Those are all reasons that they would ask for other kinds of documents. Take a look at that document list and let us know if we can help you in any way. So then they're going to say, well, we're here for a comprehensive inspection. We've got a safety person, we've got a hygienist, and you're on a program list, and we've never done a comprehensive inspection, so we want to see it all. So a comprehensive means let's look at everything. It's okay. Those happen from time to time. Certainly consultation can prevent that from occurring if you ask them out, because that takes you off that comprehensive programmed list. Maybe it's a partial. Maybe there's specific things that they want to see. So there's an injury and Jeff got injured on the tractor, and the tractor's parked out front. Take me directly to the tractor. Take the inspector directly to the tractor. Let them see it. Let them take pictures. Whatever they take notes of, you take notes of. Whatever they take pictures of, you take pictures of. Don't let that inspector go off alone. Have them assigned to someone, but take them directly to that hazard and have them review it. If, or where the accident was, for instance. If an inspector sees a hazard, they're required by law to cite it. So just know that if you take them in a circuitous route around past 10 other items that they deem hazardous, they could cite all 10 of those. So use caution getting them to the site inspection. They can ask to do interviews of employees. They are allowed by law to do that. In those interviews, you are to let that employee, with no retaliation, let that employee do an interview with the inspector. You are not allowed to listen in. It's okay to tell employees that, hey, you can do this, you can participate, but you're not required to participate. So if you don't want to, you don't have to. If my employer gets inspected and Washington Farm Bureau, and the inspector said, hey, Jeff, we want to do an interview with you, I'd politely decline. Although one of us in safety would probably be the best people to do the inspection. So, but I don't want to talk to an inspector. Maybe your employees don't want to, they have that right. But remember that your notes need to be similar to what the what the inspector is doing, and make sure that you write down what they're doing. There is a quick fix penalty reduction. So if you are starting to fix things the minute they're there, they can start writing down, hey, this was corrected at the time of visit. Those are really good. That gives you some good faith effort in any citations that may occur. And then again, allow your employees to participate in that. At the end, they'll say, hey, we're going to do a closing conference. They will talk to you about any serious violations that they've found that they say needs to be corrected. They'll give you a code that requires it. and you're required to correct those. If it's correct at the time of visit, they'll put on it, correct at time of visit. You don't need to return anything to them. But if there are corrections that need to be made, it's called abatement. And you must do abatement. You must correct those hazards, and you must let the inspector know that you corrected those, and that reporting is required back to them. If you do not do the corrective forms and get them back to them, there's odds that they'll be calling you first, but they may just show up again and do another inspection, and certainly you don't want that. There can be fines and penalties depending on what the violations are. There's serious violations and there's general violations. General is maybe a record keeping, maybe it's just a small issue that's probably not going to cause any serious harm to an employee, but a serious condition is something that can cause injury, that could end up in any disabilities or hospitalization. They could be minor injuries and still be considered serious. So just know that one of the best things to do is have that education piece in place before, and you can prevent from having a bunch of serious violations. Those fines and penalties have gone up recently. OSHA is the federal government that oversees penalties, and they keep telling the state of Washington, you're way too low on your penalty assessments. And so recently, inspections have incurred higher penalties, and we know that those will continue to go up. We have to be within, I believe it's 50% of what OSHA is for their penalties, and we're within about 75%. So we're down by 25%. So what's that mean to fines and penalties in the future? They're probably going to go up another 25%. So we know that we can avoid some of these by some of the processes that we just went through. We can also say, hey, we've not only do we have the injury and the pain and suffering to the employee and the ensuing claim that occurs and maybe property damage, but now we've got a fine as well that we've got to deal with. So you can circumvent a lot of those by some of the things that we've talked about just a moment ago. And like I say, there is a process for appeals. You'll get a citation and notice. They have 6 months to close the inspection once they open it. And during that time, they're going through and looking at a lot of different things that may or may not apply. They're doing some research and following the rules. And again, you have appeal rights, 15 working days once you receive that citation and notice to appeal. And there's a certain process to it. So let us know. We can help walk you through that. But let me leave you with this. Have confidence in what you already have. There is a good likelihood that you're already in pretty good shape. And you should check that, make sure, and get some help. If you're doing food safety, your manual covers a bunch of this stuff that a DOSH inspection will, but it's a separate entity and it's a separate inspection type. So it's really important to make sure that you're utilizing all your tools in your toolbox, but have confidence in what you're doing. Like I say, you're probably in better shape than you think you are. So all else fails, you're going to get a hold of us. I'm Jeff. Dominique is on the line. I believe Luis is online with us today. If he is not, I will call him and ask him why he wasn't. But here's our phone numbers. Here's our emails. Email is king. Take a quick screenshot of that and contact us, and we'll walk you through whatever needs to be done. So, is there anything in the Q&A or any comments that need to be addressed?
No questions as of right now. Like Jeff said, we have attached this presentation along with a couple other resources in the chat that you can download. You will also receive a follow-up email that has this recording, so you can revisit it as needed. And if there's no other questions, next week we'll be talking about human trafficking resources, especially for our type of industry. So, and then we'll take in July 4th off. So hopefully we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.